You know, it's funny. Have you ever thought about how the ancient stories people told around a fire and the big, soul-searching journeys we go on today might actually be the same story? Well, let's get into it, because we're about to connect some very old dots to a very modern quest for meaning.
This quote from our source, man, it just nails what we're talking about today. We are going to peel back the layers here, looking at some ancient fables and a wild, true-life adventure, and you'll see how they start to mirror each other in some pretty incredible ways.
So, first things first. Let's start with the first layer of this story. What in the world are these ancient tales we're talking about?
Okay, so the Jataka tales are this huge, ancient library of stories from India, and each one is about one of the Buddha's past lives, sometimes as an animal or a king or just a regular guy, all before he reached enlightenment. You can think of them as little life lessons, each one teaching something important on that long road to wisdom.
And just think about that number for a second. 547. We're not talking about a little book of fables here. This is a massive collection, written down over a 700-year period. It's an absolutely epic body of work, passed down for generations.
Now, at the very core of all these stories is this idea our source calls the Jataka mind. And this is what I find so incredible. It's not just about, being good to other people. It's this huge, all-encompassing empathy for all living beings. It's the idea that a monkey or a deer could have just as much, or maybe even more, wisdom and virtue than a human being.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. The tales use these animal characters to explore the very best and the very worst of who we are as people. Let me give you a couple of quick examples.
So take the story of the golden plate. You've got one salesman whose greed just consumes him. He tries to cheat this poor family, and in the end, his rage and greed leave him with absolutely nothing. Then you have the other guy, the honest one. He offers a fair trade, and he thrives. It's a really simple but powerful message, right? One path is self-destruction, the other is prosperity.
Now this is a perfect example of that Jataka mind in action. In this story, you have a noble deer king who's actually a past life of the Buddha, and he offers his own life to save a pregnant doe from a hunter. And his compassion is so real, so profound, it literally changes the human king's heart. The king is so moved that he promises to protect all animals in his kingdom forever. An animal taught a human the ultimate lesson in mercy.
Okay, now let's hit the fast-forward button. We're going to jump a couple thousand years. We're moving from the what of these ancient fables to the modern why, a real person's journey for truth that, you'll see, echoes these exact same themes.
Picture this. It's the 1970s. You've got this 18-year-old surfer named Richard. He's out in France, gets caught in this massive 15-foot wave, his leash breaks, and he's getting pulled towards a rocky jetty. In that moment, when he thinks it's all over, he yells out these words. And then he sees this incredible light. And against all odds, he's washed safely ashore. That one experience, it changes his entire life and kicks off this incredible quest. And that plea sparked this absolutely unbelievable overland journey. And look, this was not some fun backpacking trip. It was a serious, hardcore quest. You can see his path here, crossing through Cold War Europe, trying to navigate the paranoia of Iran right before its revolution, going through what he called the Wild West of Afghanistan, only to land in India on the very first day of a war. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
So you might be wondering, why would anyone go through all of that? His goal wasn't to see the sights, it was something way deeper. He was on a mission to find a teacher who could help him connect with that same protective power he felt in that wave. He didn't want a belief or philosophy, he wanted a direct, tangible experience of the force that keeps us all alive.
And this is where it all comes together. This is where the two stories, the ancient fables and this modern quest, begin to click. The challenges Richard was facing, the virtues he needed to get through it, they're the exact same ones that are at the heart of the Jataka tales.
Let's just break it down. You've got the fables, which are all about teaching perseverance. Well, Richard lived that on his brutal journey, right? The tales talk about the power of truth, and he was chasing that truth with every fiber of his being, looking for that direct experience. And the tales value compassion, and that's exactly what he was hoping to find in a teacher, in a community. The ancient ideas were playing out, for real, in a modern life.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Why does a 2,000-year-old story about a deer king still connect with the journey of a surfer from the 70s? Let's put it all together.
So why do these stories last? It's because they're not just old tales. They're basically roadmaps for our own lives. They show us that virtues like compassion and honesty, well, they don't have an expiration date. They matter just as much now as they did then. And maybe most importantly,
They remind us that this search for meaning, our own personal quest, it's not something we do alone. It's a timeless, shared human experience. And really, that just leaves one big question. For you, for me, for all of us. The Jataka tales were a moral compass for millions. Richard's journey was guided by this profound personal moment. So the question is, what are the stories, the fables, the experiences, the big or small truths that are guiding your path?